These actors and these employees just want an industry where the technology supports but doesn't replace the human talent. The brokers are definitely nervous that, this could be an implication to coverage from the carriers. It's here to stay and it's going to be an exciting ride. We just have to wait and see.
Welcome to the Leader's Edge podcast. I'm Zach Ewell, content producer here at Leader's Edge. From the grim fictional antagonist of HAL 9000 in 2001: A Space Odyssey, to the melancholy depiction of Joaquin Phoenix's virtual assistant, Samantha, in the film Her, movies throughout history have depicted stories surrounding humans interacting with artificial intelligence. However, now that AI is no longer science fiction, many in Hollywood have begun using it as a tool to make movies. The ethics and risks associated with utilizing AI have not come without harsh criticism. Just last year, the Screen Actors Guild went on strike over labor disputes regarding concerns about AI replacing actors. To learn more about the insurance implications and risks associated with media and movie studios utilizing AI, I spoke with Sinead Murphy, Managing Director of MIC Specialty, an insurance carrier that specializes in media liability coverage. Sinead, could you tell me about your first experience seeing generative AI in media?
Absolutely. So I think the first time I ever saw it was at a media law conference. It was super exciting. We had some attorneys there that had some examples of materials that had been created. And I just thought it was mind blowing, like the capabilities of this computer program in terms of what they could generate in like 10 seconds with very little kind of creative input from the user. So that to me was mind-blowingly amazing in terms of the efficiency, but also very scary in terms of what we would consider the due diligence of what's created, because it felt like it was so instant that it was basically too good to be true. So that was kind of my first experience. And then I went away back to my office and I was like, I'm going to try this out for myself. So I kind of signed up for ChatGPT and Claude, and played around with those two systems. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I started using them for within my capacity here at MIC Specialty. I underwrite a lot, but I also prepare a lot of contracts and presentations, and just for ideation to like set up the skeletal basis for these contracts or for whatever I'm trying to put together. It's just amazing to have something that gives you like a little boost, as long as you can just use it, which is difficult, but just use it as a skeletal basis, not as the final product. It's very persuasive, it's very slick. You can feel like this is better than you can do yourself. And that's the key. You always have to think that you should be the person driving the creation, not the AI persuading you to use what they've given you.
So, what are your clients' thoughts on AI in media production? Are they actively experimenting with it? Are they hesitant? Mixed reaction, maybe? And to your knowledge, is the market asking coverage for it currently?
Well, I think the clients, like all of us, are kind of in this state of initial experimentation. They're trying to figure out what policies they need to implement within their organization to control the use of AI. It's a very dangerous thing. I think they're excited about the efficiencies, but also very nervous about the implications of misuse of AI. Um, I don't see a lot of the activity as of yet. We've started as a carrier, as our other carriers have as well. We've started asking the question, are you contemplating the use of generative AI? Have you used it within, we do a lot of project specific policies for productions. Have you used it? I have not had any affirmative, yes, we're using it to kind of dive into a little bit deeper. So I think everyone's just being very cautious. I mean, it's an excellent tool to use within your company. So Imagine there are many media companies that won't be incorporating it into their processes. We have seen the market asking for coverage, definitely. People, the brokers are definitely nervous that, this could be an implication to coverage from the carriers. In terms of our position, I'm an E&O underwriter. So we are covering the content of a production, a publication, or any type of content of the media company we're insuring. So you have a company, they either create their own original content, which we review in terms of what are their processes, how experienced is the company, what sort of legal reviews are being or does the company have essentially to review and clear this original content. If it's third party content, we want to know how that's licensed, what sort of licenses have been obtained from the copyright owner of that third party content. If it hasn't been licensed, then we want to see a legal opinion showing a fair use defense. Um, and if that doesn't exist, then we may have issues with that content and exclude it. But in terms of the AI content, that's something new because it doesn't feel completely original and it's not licensed from a third party. So we're really going to have to work on figuring that out with our insureds as they start to use that content more frequently.
So, my next question, you have over 20 years experience of media underwriting and management experience. What have been some past innovations and disruptions to media risk that you have seen, and is AI the largest that you've seen yet?
Oh my goodness, there's been so many. I feel like every year we have something going on. So probably the major one I've seen is like the digital transformation. So like we were personally talking before this interview, that this shift from physical publications and books to this like digital version of this content, which like that was a massive shift. I mean, we've gone to global distribution in seconds of media and content, where, back in the day, we could really narrow down distribution to localities, and that's just not possible anymore. So the exposure for any article, any production is instantly global and instantly massive. Now there are things that drive that, depending on how successful it is. It's probably not going to get that much distribution, so things naturally filter out into the distribution that they're worth. But yeah, that was a huge shift. And then other things like the user generated content. I remember a time when that was not a thing. And that become very frightening because now everyone is a journalist. Any individual can produce content or be a marketing person for a highbrow brand. So that was a big shift. We've, of course, cybersecurity and privacy. And then more recently, the kind of emergence of fake news has been an issue. The pandemic was a huge shift in terms of how people consume media. And then just, I think we go on to talk about this next, maybe. So the actor and writer strike was a huge disruptor. So there've been many, and now AI, and then there'll be something else in a couple of years. But AI is it's a huge game changer for media companies.
You mentioned SAG-AFTRA. So last year's SAG-AFTRA strike struck a chord with many as AI being used in Hollywood became a big issue. Specifically, some argued about studios' possible use of scanning the faces of actors in order to generate performances of them digitally. Do you believe the risks of litigation and copyright infringement could grow as more media companies begin utilizing AI within their productions?
You know, I do think there are huge exposures. You have these AI companies that are just stocking up and filing every piece of data they can get their hands on, and creating these databases. Now, if you as a user, put in a specific enough request for content, the output is going to be fairly identical to something that already exists. For example, if I asked AI to create a song about someone sitting on the dock of a bay, and I go into like more and more detail about what sort of feel I want this song to have, and if I'm very specific about the thing I already know, it's probably going to spit out the lyrics of sitting on the dock of the bay. And that is frightening, of course, and it's not expecting necessarily someone to go looking for something they already know they're looking for. But your head is made up of many things that you've seen over the years, and you're if you're asking it for something specific and then your personal creativity skills are not strong, and you're just accepting that output and not really changing it much and not really having your own creative input, then there will be copyright claims potentially. Um, but I don't think it's all bad news. Like for the studios, it's there are a lot of positives with regards to AI. It's going to help immensely with efficiencies. It's going to help immensely with, say, reshooting a scene that, I don't know, the person was looking in the wrong direction. With the facial scanning, they can, the digital scanning is going to allow them to adjust that kind of facial expression without having to reshoot the whole scene. That means hopefully productions will take less time to film, there'll be less delays. Actors can work more because the production won't be delayed and spilling into the start time of their next production. So there are a lot of great benefits to AI, but these actors and these employees just want an industry where the technology supports but doesn't replace the human talent. So
As I understand it, generative AI text to speech applications such as DALL-E and Runway have the opportunity to massively disrupt the budgets and workflows for film and media companies. I assume as the workflows of these productions shift, so will their risks. What areas do you think will be heavily affected by the use of AI in media? Will this impact cyber or E&O policies primarily?
the integration of these tools is going to represent a huge technological shift. And I think we have to appreciate that whilst this offers a lot of benefits for creativity and efficiency and cost reduction, there are a bunch of challenges. It's going to change things. Yeah, absolutely. Everything's going to change. It's going to change even in terms of the procedures you put in place. We don't even know what those policies and procedures should be yet. We're going to have to test them and figure out as time goes on what works and what doesn't work. It's so new, we don't even really know what it's capable of. I'd read recently that ChatGPT, the latest version, I think version 4, had passed the bar exam, which is phenomenal. Like we think of how long a lawyer goes to university to, you know, actually pass the bar exam, and we probably had ChatGPT pass it in 60 seconds. The scary part is they also pass the essay part, which, you're supposed to come up with an original response to the essay question. And they did that and fooled the examiner. So the possibilities are immense, and it's going to take us some time to realize exactly what elements of AI can be incorporated into the business activities of these media companies, what parts are okay, what the procedure should look like, what the possible implications are. We haven't seen the E&O claims yet. We've seen the affirmative claims from the media companies against AI companies, but we haven't really seen the copyright claims coming out of the content that's created yet, but it's going to happen. Um, and that will impact insurance policies because we're going to have to track that. We're going to have to see be in close contact with the attorneys in this area, with our claims staff, figure out what are the valuations for these claims. We're going to have to speak to our reinsurers about these claims, and that could lead to an industry situation where we have to go beyond asking the question, do you use it? There may have to be a separate retention, there may have to be sublimits, there may have to be exclusions. We just don't know yet. But what we do know is we need these media carriers to be in business because the media companies need insurance. So we have to be able to protect ourselves too in the event that this does turn into a very litigious area that we have to pay significant defense costs to figure out.
I'd really like you to just, if you could paint a picture for our listeners, just on some specific areas that AI will change within media production.
I mean, every company needs to figure out how to maximize efficiency and still stay true to their core business. But, it would be impossible not to include generative AI into a process to increase efficiency. With regards to script writing, like again, ideation, it's an ideal tool to like throw some scenarios into and see what sort of responses or what sort of ideas come out of that. With visual effects, it's definitely going to, create huge efficiencies in terms of how productions are edited, how backgrounds are added, how characters are added in there. There could be many background characters. We could have speaking parts that are generated by AI. The pre-production, again, the storyboard and casting, AI might be used to, I need a police officer in this movie. Who are the most successful actor or police officer actors in the history of in the recent history of film? So, it may be even with regards to the casting, you kind of approach AI to get the ideas of who to put into those productions. I'd also read recently, which I thought was funny and kind of scary, that it was going to start being used to visually analyze the watchers of productions and films to gauge from their reactions what parts of the movie were successful, what like what parts of the script intrigued people, made them happier, made them cry. So I thought that was interesting too. And yeah, post production as well. We're going to be using it to, edit out the production at the end. For marketing, a lot of news publishers and mostly news publishers use it to, and I find this intriguing, but they'll use AI to kind of tidy up their articles for every social media platform that they're going to distribute, kind of advertise into. And it's incredibly successful at picking the right title, the right kind of shortened version of the article that will kind of work in that format. So, that would have probably taken an employee an hour to do, and they probably still wouldn't have maximized the use of keywords and the way that AI can. So, yeah, I think it's here to stay, and it's going to be an exciting ride. We just have to wait and see.
It's scary, exciting, and
Yeah.
it's hard to think about.
It's exciting when you think that it's in the right hands. It's terrifying when you think it's not in the right hands. So, as ever for us, we'll always be looking at who is the insured and who, what is the professional capabilities of the company we're insuring. And I think that's going to be key.
That was my conversation with Sinead Murphy, Managing Director at MIC Specialty. I hope you enjoyed it. To listen to more of our podcasts, go to leadersedge.com or find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts.